Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you're joining today from. Welcome to another exciting meeting at Toastmasters for Professionals. In this club, it's all about your professional development, the skills that you can learn in Toastmasters, improve yourself and implement in your professional life. There's a legend that in Solomon Islands, whenever they want to cut a huge tree that they are not able to cut naturally or usual way, what they do is they go and curse it continuously for 30 days. Entire tribe just curse the tree. And guess what? They say that after 1 month, the tree dies natural death. And cutting that is very easy. So does it happen in our natural course of action when somebody just curses us or give the negative feedback every time. It has happened to me several times in my childhood, or when I was at college, or when I was working, rather happens even today sometimes. When I face people who give that negative feedback, are trying to put those negative words in my mind, and that puts me down, at least for a while. It takes a lot of energy to come out of it. But think of in a different scenario, when the feedback is positive. What does it can do, or what power it has, the positive feedback, how it can change you, how it can impact your life. They're going to learn that today. But before that, I'm going to give the structure of the meeting that we have and introduce the role plays. In each Toastmaster meeting, we have different parts, but here to add to our professional growth, we have one new section that's called interview, where we'll try to learn the skills that are required to face the real life job interview, or any kind of interview, of course. So today we have prepared speech, or rather keynote speech by distinguished Toastmaster Susan, and then table topics where we learn impromptu speak and critical thinking skills from this session that will be held by Toastmaster Vamshi. And the next section is our evaluation. It will be led by two speech evaluators, distinguished Toastmaster Solarzar and Toastmaster Sarika. And then the interview will be led by our interviewer, Dr. Mary Thomas, where the interview will be taken by our Toastmaster Amanda, who is joining from China. And in the end, we are going to see how we are going to benefit from all this through the evaluation that we get from our meeting evaluators. Before we dwell into the meeting, let me introduce the Board Master Grammarian for today, Toastmaster Ashvin, and also request him to introduce the word of the day.
Thank you, Raghu. I'll be your grammarian today. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language. I do that all the time. My wife is a grammarian, so I get corrected every single time. And I'm confident of my speaking skills now because of her. All right. And so the word of the day is confidence. I put the definition, it's a noun, so use it confidently today. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Ashvin. I want to introduce the speaker for today, distinguished Toastmaster Susan. Before that, I want to ask Susan, what are the timings that you need for your speech today?
We're going to ask for 18, 20, and 22.
And do we have timer on the room?
That's a good question. Ashvin?
That will be me.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Not only your grammarian, I'll be your timer too.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ashvin. 18, 20, 22. Okay. Now, before Susan starts, Solarzar, do you want to give speech objectives that you will be concentrating upon?
Actually, the purpose of a keynote, let me put my video on. The purpose of a keynote, of course, is to engage an audience and plant a thought within them. It can be inspiring, motivational, it can be action-centric. So I'll be looking to see what Susan's message is, how effectively she did it in the time allotted, and I'll also be looking at all the natural things we look for as a Toastmaster. The fact that she charms our socks off and makes us smile. So back to you, Raghu.
Thank you, DTM Solarzar. Before we start the keynote, I want to recognize all the dignitaries in the room and also the visiting Toastmasters and also the guests who are joined. Let me invite DTM Susan. Susan has almost 30 years Toastmaster experience. She has 4 decades of work experience. She has learned the empathetic evaluation of positive feedback in Toastmasters and applied that in her life and has yielded a lot of good results. So let me invite DTM Susan, the keynote speaker for today, to talk about the power of positive feedback. Susan, the stage is yours.
Are you able to see my screen? Yes? Thumbs up? Okay, great. So today's topic is going to be the power of positive feedback. And although it wasn't in my introduction because I didn't share it, I've also earned an MBA and 2 DTMs along my path. So let's focus first. What is positive feedback? Well, scientifically, positive feedback is amplifying or magnifying the change or the output. The response is magnified so much so that things can occur so much faster. And in this form of feedback, the output of the system is enhanced. Conversely, negative feedback, as Raghu mentioned, the output can be decreased or inhibited. So why is it important to give positive feedback? Well, good feedback allows people to understand the effect of their actions, the impacts, and celebrate their successes, and perhaps find areas of improvement. Providing this feedback is important as a hiring manager as well, or team lead, because it encourages excellent work ethics, and it can increase team morale. So let's focus today on what our agenda will be. I'm going to focus upon the power of positive feedback in Toastmasters evaluations, as well as the power of positive feedback in the workplace. And then thirdly, I'd like to work on, share with you the power of positive feedback in the home as an homage to Mary Thomas, Dr. Mary Thomas, who mentioned about our professionalism begins in the home. So let's focus on those 3 items. So first off, why do Toastmasters evaluate? There's many different reasons, but there are lessons that we give because we evaluate to motivate. There are great sessions about that, and we learn about doing that because it's for us to lift up that speaker and motivate them to come back and give their second speech. But it's more than that. We also evaluate to help the members learn and grow. We share what they have done well, and we offer them some helpful hints with empathy so they can learn and grow along the way. Now, Toastmasters evaluations specifically are very unique, and that's because they're immediate feedback. They're your opinion, so be careful. That's the reflection of you. And you want it to be honest feedback, not a critique, not a big long laundry list of errors or mistakes or things that they did wrong, but rather making a connection with the speaker and the greater audience, because you are in fact going to provide them methods for improvement, not just what they could do differently, but how they can do it differently. And then finally, it's for building and maintaining the speaker's self-esteem. Many folks come through these doors fearful, nervous, and don't even want to give that first speech for many meetings. Others, not a problem, but for those that really need the self-esteem, if they don't come back for a second speech, it's possible that your evaluation did not lift them. Now, Toastmasters, we have a method we call the sandwich method. It starts off with positive reinforcement, and we want to do that because that's the foundation. That's where Pathway says those items that we have excelled upon. Some folks say 2 to 3 items. I like to really pile it on and make a strong foundation, as many of the items about the speech that they did well. And then we want to offer 2 or 3 opportunities. I call them gifts because they're a gift to the speaker to find items that they might want to work on or challenge to stretch and grow within the speech. Not things they've done wrong, but things that perhaps could be enhanced to elevate that speech to the next level. And then finally, we take that top where it is the conclusion or the recap, and it's the encouragement. Now, I challenge you to look at a sandwich without the bottom and the top. You don't have a sandwich. Without that piece in the middle, it's not a sandwich. It's just a loaf of bread. So make sure you add all 3 of those elements to use the sandwich method. Now, why is that important, you might ask? Well, because in Toastmasters, we have quite a number of items, and I'm going to start with the upper corners. You can see my mouse circling it. We have the opportunity to reinforce current speaking skills that the speaker already has possessed and is demonstrating. But it might also allow us, the next one to the left, is to draw attention to those unnoticed habits, maybe those gestures that were clasping of hands or just flailing about that they may not know, or shaking back and forth that shows their nervousness. We really want to motivate the speaker to improve, and we want to build confidence and their self-esteem. We also want to encourage the speaker to reflect upon their performance and develop their inner evaluator. I know when I first gave my first speech, I sat down with that big, long laundry list of things I know I could have done differently. And as an evaluator, you need to prioritize just the 1 or 2 things that are most important. So when I now sit down, I won't think about the big, long laundry list of things, although Solarzar may do that for me. I try to prioritize which 2 were most important. So I develop my inner evaluator. Now, over here on this side, we might also learn to accept the feedback and act on it. That's our feedback and evaluation project, to show that you can take in the feedback and you can apply it. And then finally, we might challenge to try new techniques, things we might not have ever thought about, but might just enhance that speech to make it the best that it could possibly be. But there are also benefits to the evaluator, because 1, they're also improving their speaking skills, and they're developing their listening and observation skills, things they heard, things they saw, things that they felt, and be able to give that feedback in a positive way. Any feedback can be offered in a positive way. I once saw someone sit down after 45 seconds. He froze in his icebreaker, but the evaluator said, "Congratulations, you've completed your first speech. I know next time you're going to aim at the green and be able to achieve that." Wasn't that a wonderful, positive way to give that speaker kudos for what they did accomplish rather than for what they didn't? Looking at it glass half full rather than half empty. It also allows the evaluator to develop analytical and problem-solving skills. Now, I know that that didn't work, but why? And how can I help them do it better? And then because we may have more than 2 or 3, it teaches us to prioritize and reflect upon the image that we're giving to the speaker. You want to make sure you do that well because it's important to build their confidence. Now, in professional settings, we may have several different opportunities for feedback. One of them that comes to mind for me near and dear is the manager's annual review. Although people should not wait until their annual review to know how they're doing, it should be more frequent than that. And then there can be leaders, just leaders in teams. You need to have feedback with one another. And you can tell somebody they did something you did not approve of in a positive way to still build the rapport and the trust that might be needed for that team to function well. And then coworkers, just everyday interactions. Instead of the hip on the hand and getting an attitude all up in their face, you might just say to them, I know you're having a rough day, but could you hear me out for a moment? I have something I need to offer you in feedback. And that can be a positive feedback because of the way that you've offered it. Now, in the professional aspect, you can also use that sandwich method that I talked about for evaluations. You start with the positives, encouragement, building rapport, celebrate their successes and their accomplishments to show that they are valued. If you ever sat down in an officer's and manager's office and heard nothing but negatives, boy, you start shrinking in that seat and you just want to leave. And even if they came up with something positive after that, you've already gone tone deaf. You won't even hear what they have to say. Your eyes are rolling back in your head and you're not listening. So start with the positives and make sure that you've built that rapport. And then there's the opportunities to improve upon. Again, not too many at once unless the person really is failing, and then you have to have that difficult conversation. But have some empathy. For the receiver of the message, how would you like to hear about it? Because you want to show the person that you genuinely care. You have empathy for them, and you need to talk to them in a way that shows, demonstrates that you care. And then finally, when you finish up, you want to conclude with some words of encouragement or a motivational recap saying, overall, you're doing a great job, and I think it's working really well. And if we just focus on those two other areas we spoke about, I'm sure everything is going to be superb for the next 6 months. That's a way of showing your positive feedback. The benefits now to the individual will start up in this upper right-hand corner again. You might reinforce their positive behaviors, catch them doing something good, and that might help increase their productivity. And that may also keep the individual a little bit more motivated. You obviously want to still help build their self-esteem, and that person will then be more satisfied with their job, and that'll help them remain engaged. I know we did so many engagement studies at work, but if you don't feel like someone's listening, you don't feel like you're valued. So you should have positive feedback to enable all of those features. Now, the benefits to the team. First off, in this upper corner again, let's go with trust. You want to make sure you can trust one another when you're sharing things that you're observing and feeling about the team so that you can keep that productivity online. And you know, a happy team that is performing properly really has better creativity. They perform better and they have greater job satisfaction. Keeping them fully engaged on the job, they're not goofing off and talking in the corner at the water cooler, if people still do that, or maybe playing video games on the desk or emailing friends. You want to keep people fully engaged so that you can have that successful team that you're operating with. Now, additionally, the organization definitely benefits from positive feedback. And those ways are by achieving the goals that are set out, the deadlines, the things that need to be built or sold or shipped, all those things that customers are waiting for. And you want to keep a high level of productivity. And one of my favorites is really stability within the team, because you really have a big return on your investment. You spend money to hire them, you spend money to train them, and as soon as they're ready and they're not happy, they leave and you're starting all over again. And return on investment and stability are two of my high favorites. And then down to the bottom, we go to high morale. A good performing organization will, of course, be much more profitable because they're not seeing the high turnover, but they're seeing low turnover. This is very beneficial to the organization. Next, I want to focus upon the feedback at home, because there are some opportunities there as well. Paying again homage to Dr. Mary Smith's professionalism starts in the home. Well, first, you have students' progress reports. Every time they come home, you want to make sure that you're acknowledging the good factors. I don't know about you, but I did fairly well in school. And I once got a progress report, a 97. It's 8th grade English class. I got a 97, and the teacher reported that I wasn't working up to my abilities because I turned one item in late. Otherwise, I would have had the 100. And my parents went to take me to task on that. I'm like, it's a 97. You celebrated my sister's. Thank God she passed one and had a D. How is that fair to have a 97 and I'm not working up to my abilities? I remember that very dearly, and it's decades ago. So make sure that you give that positive feedback wherever possible. And the daily interactions. I often was told, catch them doing something well. Too often, children are seeking attention. Even negative attention is better than someone who is ignoring them. And if you have those daily interactions, make sure you're catching them do something well. Now, the benefits within the family and the home situation is you have security and trust with one another and the confidence that we all have. And people can feel appreciated by one another and contain some very high morale. And of course, we want a happy home, and we want to make sure that it's peaceful, because everybody can learn better and trust one another within the home. The family itself, some of the same items, security and trust, but stability and unity, not those families that are fighting with one another and possibly breaking apart. You want to make sure that you can maintain for the entire family the happiness and the peacefulness, so that you can have the positive feedback, because it is so powerful. Now, some extra items that you might want to consider. Perhaps the individual's experience. In Toastmasters, are they a brand new member or seasoned veteran? The same would hold true with your employee. Someone you just hired might not know the culture of your organization, but might need to be gently guided. Someone who's been around a while and seasoned, you expect more of the routines, and you may have to focus upon it, but still say it in a positive way as best you can. You might also remember that your words matter. Find the positives through everything you say. Demonstrate the empathy. How would you like it if it was said to you? I had a director who, after I gave a presentation on leadership, I was organizing it. 5 managers and myself gave 6 sections on the leadership. And I asked, so could I get some feedback? And I was actually told, well, I can tell you burned a lot of calories on that. And I go, ouch. It motivated me all right, but in the other direction, to take an early retirement. That was not something that was going to help me work in that workplace with great motivation. And then make recommendations that only an individual can change. I say it in Toastmasters, if someone is handicapped, don't tell them to stand up straighter. If someone has an accent, you can't take that away, but you might recommend that they speak more slowly so that we could understand. The accent is fine. My ability to listen might not be. So I need a little more time to process. Now, in the workplace, we can do the same thing. If a person just can't get there on time every day for whatever their circumstances are, maybe flex hours might work for that person, or some other way that we could have a mutual agreement. And I did that with several of my employees. Now, some do's and don'ts you want to make sure that feedback needs to be timely. As I said with the annual reviews, once a year is not enough time to get feedback. Do it quickly. And in the workplace, as soon as it's observed, give that feedback, not a week later, not a month later. And also make sure that you give specific examples. Don't just say, well, you know that time when you said that thing, that doesn't make any effect. But if you said, do you remember when you told Susie that she shouldn't do this and you were very judgmental, perhaps you could choose a different word and make it more positive, such as, Susie, would you perhaps try this other method? There's a much nicer way of saying it, but be specific. Otherwise, it has no value. And don't judge the person. We're judging the actions, the behaviors, the presentations, not the person. And we try not to repeat ourselves because that's kind of nagging again and again and again. So don't repeat. It's not a good practice. Now, serving as an evaluator in Toastmasters or in the workplace or at home can be one of the most intimidating parts of being a member. Even members who've been evaluated many times give a lot of their comments and scores a lot of attention to it when they evaluate their peers. You want to make sure that you are building up and not tearing down. Remember, with empathy, you too can make any situation positive feedback for the better. Because remember, the power of positive feedback can help build relationships and trust, and can help improve the success of individuals, the team, and the organization. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. I'll open the forum for questions right now. Anybody has any questions, please raise your hand.
Yeah, Deanna's making comment. Nice slideshow. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I have a question?
Surely,
Sure,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Kamat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. Susan, you spoke about giving suggestions in areas where improvement is possible. But how do we identify that this is something which is possible for the speaker to improve?
So as I gave in my reference, thank you for the question. I cannot ask you to not have an accent, but I can ask you to speak more slowly so that I can understand better. I actually witnessed someone give a speech who said, I can't let go of the lectern because I had polio as a child, and if I do, I'll fall over. The evaluator said, I'd like to see you let go of the lectern. Well, that evaluator wasn't listening. And not every evaluator is the best at what they could do. So we need to also take it with a grain of salt with the feedback that we offer. But if you see something that you say, I had too many words on the slides, I can make that an improvement by having less words on the slide and making it bullets and talking to the bullets. That's something that can be changed. Having eye contact, obviously, is something I can change, rather than reading my screen over here and you thinking I'm not connecting with you. So these are things you can change, and you start small with things you can, and then you can stretch and go with things you might not be sure you can do, but you might if you try. Okay,
Thank
that answer
you.
your question?
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Deanna, thank you for your comments in the chat. Appreciate it. Any other
Hi, Jody.
questions?
Aisha, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. My question was, how long was your Toastmasters speech? And it's not being critical, but I just thought it was fantastic in terms of using your PowerPoints and engaging the audience. So I just wanted to know how long was that particular speech? I know you have different levels. So is that a 30-minute?
Okay. It is actually a level 5 project, prepare to speak professionally, and it is scheduled to be in 18 to 22 minutes.
Okay.
So my portion of it finished before we turned red. Now we're into question and answer. So we might be sneaking a little beyond the 22 minutes, but question and answer does tend to do that for us. These type of presentations can be 30 minutes, 45, whatever is agreed upon within the club.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? The power of positive feedback, take it to heart, believe it in your heart. It is something that we can all do. and it can build confidence rather than tearing someone down, build them up. You have two choices. Which is the better? Leave a mark upon someone's heart with positive feedback. Raghu?
Thank you very much. Can we have a big round of applause for Susan for such a wonderful keynote speech? Next, it is a practical session where we learn in professional group how we're going to prepare for a job interview. Today we have Amanda, who is going to attend her interview, and we have Dr. Mary Thomas, who is the interviewer, Toastmaster Sarika, who is a speech evaluator, the project evaluator, I would say. Sarika, do you want to use project objectives? Ashvin, can you help me in spotlighting both Amanda and Mary Thomas and Sarika?
Yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raghunatharaju. Amanda is doing a project to practice skills needed to present herself well in an interview. The questions are designed to be specific to Amanda's skills and abilities and in a role that she's going to interview for. What I'll be looking for is Amanda's poise, concise answers to the questions and the ability to recover from ineffective answers if they happen. Thank you.
Timer, please note, is 3 to 5 minutes. And Mary and Amanda, please try to stick the time limit. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. Good morning, Amanda Yao. How are you
Good morning.
today?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you. And hello. Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Great. Would you like to have some coffee or tea or water?
I just finished one tea. Yeah, thank you for asking. A little bit nervous. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I asked. And we're going to be together for a bit. So I just wanted you to feel comfortable.
Okay.
All right. Are we good to go? Are we good to go? Shall we start?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a very typical technical person. I'm a little bit shy, but I like to take challenge. Because this is the job interview, so I want to tell you something about my job experience. I have worked in this industry as a biostatistician for more than 10 years. After many projects, and this year, I believe I'm a very skillful biostatistician. Yeah, I have worked in different kinds of companies before. I believe after reviewing the job description you provided, I believe I'm a qualified person or candidate for this position. And last, thank you very much for this opportunity. I feel the honor to have this chance. Okay. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to dive deep straight into the interview proper with regards to your position. This is a very senior position. I would like to know we need someone with an in-depth understanding of oncology clinical trials. Could you tell me briefly any one such trial that you had been a part of? Oncology.
Okay, during my last 10 years, I have been involved into many oncology studies, and some of them are already being marketed. I think different working skills are required in different cases, like early phases or later phases, like new drug or just follower or just similar. And currently I'm working by similar oncology products. Because it is biosimilar product, so I have to very familiar. I have to be very familiar with the data of reference product, which is also called as original product. And I also need to discuss with the agency to get a criteria to decide how similar is similar, which is a criteria of similar margin. And I also need to talk to my management team how to select the indication for this biosimilar study based on the sample size and budget and the feasibilities and so on and so forth factor, and let them have a data in mind. And then after this project was set up, I may need to work with my project team to get the protocol, to get the design done in later days. Yeah, in future. Yeah.
If I may ask, I'm sorry to interrupt a bit. I want to know which project you did. Was it breast cancer? Was it GIT cancer? What was your project? Which oncology? Which area of oncology?
Most of tumors, I have some experience for most tumor study, like lung cancer, like head cancer, and
I'm sorry, head cancer, did you say? Did you say head cancer? All right.
Head and neck, yeah, and lung, and yeah, lung cancer, like SCLC or MSCLC. Sorry, the terminology is very difficult. I just can give you some short abbreviation.
All right. In 30 seconds, you still have 30 seconds? In 30 seconds, can you tell me how do you manage your work-life balance?
Okay. I know in many Chinese companies, the management, our management teams, our culture, prioritize the timeline and the projects very much, and hence we have a lot of work overtime. It is unavoidable if we work in Chinese company. So my ways is to, when I feel frustrated or when I feel overwhelming by my work, I will try to ask my colleagues to support me, and I will talk to my manager to see how to assign the resources in a more efficient way. Yeah.
All right.
And so sometimes I will talk with my friend to release my pressure and go out for a fun. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
this is my way.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Amanda. What I would do is I would call you for the, we will just get in touch with you for a further interview as well as for psychometric tests. You need to go through that one. We need to go through those two other levels. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary and Amanda, for taking that interview session. And I'm sure we'll both benefit from this session. Now it's time to dwell into the feedback due to the interest of the time, and also Solarzar has to leave early today. I invite speech evaluators to give their feedback. DTM Solarzar, can you please give your feedback for the keynote speech?
Thank you so much, Raghu, and thank you, Susan. So let me take you off, go back to gallery view. Susan, I'm going to tell you all the things you did wrong. Oh, wait a minute, I listened to your speech. I'm not supposed to do that. So let's talk about what I really loved about your presentation. One, I loved what you're doing right now. I loved your smile. I love your voice. Your voice tone is so engaging. You have a lot of natural vocal variety. You know how to use your voice and you keep it engaging. You're someone that I want to listen to. You also have some very excellent gesture control and management. You would do things very specifically, alternate hands, together hands. You were very specific in your choices when you did your twos and things like that. Very excellent, well coordinated, well thought out. As long as I'm on well thought out, let's talk about your presentation as a whole. A lot of thought and preparation went into this, and it was very, very clear. It struck me, even though it wasn't a exciting yell to the sports team winning type of thing, that there was a passion behind this. I really felt that this was very heartfelt coming from you. It was a lot put in there at one time. People have already commented about your slides, and there was a lot of excellent slide management in terms of the use of it. I'm very much a fan of doing things in the increments where we don't see the whole slide at one time, and you did a great deal of that. I'd like to see a little bit more of that when we got to the mind maps, so that I wasn't looking at something over here for stability when you were talking over here about morale, but I'd like to see more of that. But the other thing about the slides I would like you to get rid of was the two beginning slides and your conclusion, your final slide. Because when you stepped up, the first thing you said is, can you see my slides? Who cares? I want to see you. Give me your opening slides. As you say, I'm going to share my slides. I'm going to share some slides to give you some more view of some of this as I go through it, because it's so much. And then give us that initial opening of the purpose of evaluation, and then say, here are my slides. Can you now see them? You now have drawn us in immediately. Immediately. See, I saw you smile when I said that, because you knew. I was going to kind of pick at that. And then the conclusion, I don't think we needed to see. Others may disagree, but I would have liked when you shared your words at the end of the question and answer session, that to me was more potent and more powerful. No slide on the screen. That was Susan. That was Susan right there. So those are the things I would like to see, just in terms of excellent management of your slides, really well, excellent organization and coordination. I thought when we went to the family and later sometimes to the work, that the transitions weren't as smooth. One of the benefits to the team I would have liked to see is, why is morale better? Because what we didn't, it was implied. Oh, we just boosted everybody up, morale is better. Tell us that. But other than that, this was an extraordinary presentation, advanced from an advanced Toastmaster. Thank you very, very much, Susan, for allowing me to be here and share this.
Oh, thank you, Solarzar, for the wonderful feedback. Toastmaster Sarika, are you ready with your feedback?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. The stage is yours.
I loved Dr. Mary Thomas as an interviewer, and I loved the confidence you brought to the floor, Amanda. I understand it's kind of nerve-wracking to stand up and talk about yourself to a stranger who's going to judge you. That's the opinion we come with. But they're not really there to judge you. I'll tell you, and have strengths. You have some strengths in you which will help you. If you calm that nerves that you were feeling, that fear, nervousness, you have a natural, presentable face. Your face looked calm. The only thing that gave away your nervousness was moving. So next, if I were to in your position, what I would do is I put the cat in a different room, get a chair that doesn't have wheels, and I can't move. Because you have a face that doesn't give off that you're nervous. Your eyes are not jittery. So use that as your strength. I would do that. The second thing I felt was I'm amazed at your extensive knowledge about the topic, your extensive education. That's your strength. Kind of meander the topic towards something which I'm strong at, because then it helps me calm my nerves. That's something I would suggest for you. Because if I'm in IT, so if I knew something about something deep-rooted for that job, I would go there, because I want the interviewer to know that part about me, not everything else that I'm bad at. So that's one specific feedback I would, especially when Dr. Mary Thomas asked, about which field of oncology and she was asking for the specifics of oncology. I would like to hear the question better. And because you do have it in your resume, most probably. Just say, take the keywords up from the resume. I did this research in oncology, and this was the trial phase. This is what I did. Yes, sometimes Englishes are not our strength. So just keep the keywords that translates our strength in the means of communication we have. Overall, I felt you have a natural presence. You are calm, confident. Yes, we do are nervous, but it doesn't show. So use that to fool the interviewer's brain, kind of, not fool the, never fool the interviewer. You were very polite and use your strength to navigate the interview towards a place which showcases your strength, which showcases that you deserve this job. I loved all the different things you talked, which I'm not expert in this field, but that was my favorite part about the interview. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster for the day, Raghu.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sarika. Can I invite our counter for today to give the feedback on how we are doing and our counter? Catherine, are you still there? Catherine?
Oh, my name? Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
hear you.
Can you
Okay,
submit your counter report?
my report, my account report, thank you. My account report starts with myself. I just said, so I think you can hear that I'm not immune. But today we had a few people that, there we go, another, that presented with nervousness and filler pauses. Raghu had one. There was none from Ashvin, DTM Susan, and evaluator Solarzar. Pramod, I stopped counting at the 10th. Aisha, I stopped counting at the 7th. Sarika, you had none. Dr. Mary Thomas had 2. Amanda, I stopped counting at the 10th. But one of the words that came up beyond just the R for Amanda was okay, yeah, and hence. I would request kindly, Amanda, take a deep breath if you can, and think before you utter a response that will help you enjoy your responses during the interview. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Catherine. Can I invite the timer and grammarian for today? My double angler, Toastmaster Ashvin, to give
Thank you so much, DTM Raghu. Susan, your time was 20 minutes and 50 seconds, but the questions and answers bled out to 23 minutes and 5 seconds. The interview went on for 7 minutes and 3 seconds. Solarzar, DTM Solarzar, your evaluation was 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Sarika, your evaluation number 2 was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. And that's my timing reports.
Grammarian report.
Now the other hat, the Grammarian report. All right, I'm glad a few of you used the word confidence, and I don't know if it was just coincidence, but that word just showed up a lot in your slide, Susan. I don't know, the universe was talking today. So you're the winner for that. Aisha used it, and Sarika used it too. And I'm sure somebody else was. I was probably sleeping behind the timer. So I'm glad you did if you did, even if you did it mentally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ashwin. Now it's time to see the feedback from the guests and visiting Toastmasters. Do you want to talk about your experience? Amanda, starting with you. You want to talk about your experience today?
Yes, it was a very great experience. And yeah, I unlike other Toastmaster, I have been involved because I have been involved as an interviewer today. So I think today's session is very, how to say, it's very creative and like our vivid life. Yeah, so I think I enjoyed it, and I also know what I should be improved in the future. Okay, thank you.
You're Amanda. Keep joining. Okay, Nikki, good to see you after long. So, do you have any feedback for the meeting? Nikki, you're on mute. You're on mute, Nikki. You want to unmute yourself?
Feedback for the for who are we respond? We're just making comments about whom?
I'm asking you about the meeting. What was the experience today?
Oh, I thought it ran. It felt like during the speaking it ran over, but other than that, everyone just looks like it's really positive. Let's just say I get the vibe it's very positive in this meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Thank you. Ruth? Diana sent her feedback. She feels confident that Mary and Amanda have done great job in the interview, and she wished to do that next time when she get an opportunity. Maya, what is your feedback for the meeting?
Yes, this is a great learning opportunity for me. I was feeling like if I was in Amanda's place, I would have been so nervous. I don't know, the words would not have come immediately from my mouth, but she prepared her speech very, very, very confidently. Kudos to you, Amanda. You did very well. Yeah.
Thank you. Raul? Raul? Connie? Sorry, Raul, go ahead.
Yes, hello. My name is Raul Cruz, and I enjoyed today's meeting. So thank you guys for having me on. It's slightly different format from what I've experienced at a local club where we meet face to face, but I am trying to experience other clubs and see what else is out there so I can help grow my club. So thank you guys for having me here today as a visitor. I really appreciate it, and I learned a lot. I enjoyed the speeches and the interview format as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. Connie? Connie? Liv?
Hi, thanks for having me today. I enjoyed speaking, but I'm still a little unsure how I would use this platform to better myself.
Sure, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Aisha, any feedback for the meeting?
I'm on the East Coast. I'm just trying to keep my eyes open. Next time I'll try toothpicks and maybe that'll work. But other than that, I thought it was very interesting. The fact that the start out of the first Toastmaster was in terms of commenting and not using language as a barrier, which I thought was very good. So it made it very easy for people to communicate and to express how they really felt in terms of not really thinking that it was going to be judged on that factor. So I think it opened up a door where people were very easy to speak and felt comfortable in terms of what they were saying.
Okay, thank you. Connie, do you want to unmute yourself now? I send a request to unmute. Thank you, Connie, for the feedback. We are short of 5 members to chat at this club. Toastmaster Professional is a proposed club in District 101. And this is all focused upon professional development to help you on your professional career. Anybody who wants to join this club, please let us know and we can help you with that. It will certainly help you both developing your communication skills and also professional skills in the process. Anybody ready to sign up for this meeting today?
Raghu, I'll sign up. No, just kidding. Yeah. Now the format, it was a little long, yes, the speech, but usually there's impromptu speaking that helps you in the interview. And so that's everything combines in its essence, right? Like the interview, these questions that are popping up, right? How do you answer them calmly, right? How do you answer them with confidence, right? So it just takes practice. But yeah, I think you'd enjoy it.
And is this the club that interests you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah, yes. I like this club. Yeah, I think I can learn a lot from all of you. Yeah, yeah, but just the time because it is my working moment, working time slot. Yeah.
Yeah, we can work that out once the club is ready to chat, or we can find out a time that works for everybody. Ruth? Can you unmute yourself?